winter real estate review in the Greater Toronto area because winter's almost over and you should know what happened. Big question, is this the big breath before the plunge? Yes, the big news has been interest rates, cost of living, sales numbers, all of those things. So let's take a look at the actual numbers. By the way, I'm Valentin and I've been in real estate for over 5 years. I do things a little bit different, as you can see, and I'd love to have a one-on-one call with you just to discuss your specific situation. And if you're not ready to move yet, that's okay. Let's get into the number. The general trend for sales over the last 3 years is down. No doubt due to the massive increase in ownership costs. Sales bottomed out last winter. This winter finding a small uptick, which is a good sign given everything that's going on. For our market to have any legs this year, we need this spring to be very strong in terms of sales and break through this line here. We saw the average price find a new bottom this winter at $1,026,000, which isn't that big of a deal, but it's still something. What is most interesting is the trend for active listings. It's very obvious when you look at this following graph. Each winter, as well as each following season, more and more people have been trying to sell. I say trying because the amount of sales, as we saw in the previous graph, does not match the trends that we see here. Many are listing, trying to sell, but they're not succeeding. Here's a very practical example. Let's take a person. Call him Bob. Bob has a mortgage that's due for renewal this September. He's paying $3,800, but in September he's gonna pay $5,800. That's $2,000 extra purely in interest cost, and Bob has good credit. Bob bought his semi for $1.3 million, and Bob is looking ahead and he's trying to be prudent, realizing that financially he won't be able to pull through. At the end of the day, who can find an extra $2,000 in addition to what they're making now on a fixed income in a standard job like most homeowners are? The problem is today, Bob's semi is worth only 1.2. That's a $100,000 loss. So Bob, like many people, says, you know what? Maybe I'll get lucky. I just need to find that one buyer at the end of the day that just falls in love with my place and lists it at 1.3. And guess what happens? The property sits and sits and sits in the market, and Bob gets more and more nervous as the months go on. No amount of staging is going to trick a buyer into buying a property $100K over what other similar properties are selling at in the marketplace. And again, when we look at these graphs, we see this situation playing out in the numbers and amount of sales that are happening versus how many active listings we had this entire winter. The days on market creep up day by day. We see this again, went from 33 days on market to 37, but the best well-priced and well-marketed properties, they're selling. Everything else just keeps sitting and sitting. When we look at months of inventory, we see this big shift from 1.5 to 2.5 months of inventory. And it's moving quickly towards a buyer's market in all segments. Bob faces a decision. Reduce the price or keep it at 1.3 with the hope that in the spring, the market's gonna turn around and buyers will start buying again. What Bob doesn't realize is there are tens of thousands of people just like him waiting and preparing to list in the spring. They've been looking at their situation as well. They too have renewals coming up and they can't afford it. And I think Bob's gonna be in deep trouble come springtime when a flood of listings just like his hits the market. He'll be lucky to get 1.2 at that point. If Bob doesn't make the right call and reduce the price now, he'll be in an even worse situation come deep spring. This is what we have going on heading into spring. So many hopeful sellers preparing. And I know because I talk to them all the time. They're not ready yet. They want to do some touch-ups. They're finishing up their renovations. They're waiting until the weather is better so they can take prettier pictures. And there are many, many of them. And once they all finally list, it's gonna be rough. So if you're on the fence right now, please give me a call. We'll just talk it over. I promise I'm not a pushy salesman. I just ask for the opportunity to win your trust in your business. If this has been of any value to you, I ask that you hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one.